Imagine this, you're approaching Hanover Airport at night with this Met report. Wind 230 at 12 knots gusting to 2, 800 meters visibility. Because of the high wind and gust value, you add a few knots on top of your VREF or reference speed to have an approach speed with a high enough margin of safety to not have an underspeed condition. You're planning for a firm touchdown on runway 25 left, the shorter runway of those two due to the shorter taxi route. You've done all the performance calculations and agreed that the stop margin of over 500 meters is sufficient with a friction coefficient of 5. During the briefing, the pilot flag mentions that he plans for a firm touchdown with a medium auto brake setting and idle reverse. During the approach, the actual wind is less than given in the 80s with no gusts at all, so the pilot flying decides to reduce the approach speed by 7 knots, as this is more than enough during this weather. At 50 feet, the pilot starts to flare to aim for no more than a rate break. Without the intentions though, he butters the aircraft with a very soft landing right in the touchdown zone. You might think this was a perfect landing, but actually, for those conditions, it was not what the pilot planned for and discussed during the approach briefing. After touchdown, the spoiler didn't deploy, the reverser thrust was still locked, and the auto brake did not work. What exactly happened here? In this video, we are gonna find out. This is Flo, welcome to Vordeck. This story is completely fictional, but runway excursions are real and have happened before many times for a variety of different reasons. The way modern jet aircraft brake. Modern jet aircraft have a variety of different ways to slow down after touchdown. The most obvious one is wheel friction braking. On top of that, reverse thrust and aerodynamic braking with spoilers and sometimes even ailerons in fly-by-wire aircraft additionally help to slow down the aircraft. In this story though, the lack of wheel braking wasn't even the biggest problem. Due to various accidents, most notably that of Laudair's Flight 004, where a Boeing 767 crashed during a spin caused by an unintentional deployment of the thrust reverser. In the aftermath of that crash, airplane manufacturers installed multiple safeguards on their airplanes so that the thrust reverser cannot open mid-flight. During the very soft touchdown, the wheels didn't spin up as there was not enough weight from the soft touchdown. Without the airplane knowing that it touched down, a few things that normally happens after landing will suddenly not happen. Normally, during a touchdown, wheels will spin up quickly, plus the weight on the wheel sensor will sense that the aircraft has landed. But depending on the aircraft type, both conditions have to be met for the aircraft to recognize the on-ground condition. On the Embraer, for example, the aircraft that I fly, for ground spoilers to be deployed, 3 conditions have to be simultaneously met. First, weight on wheels has to sense an on-ground condition. Secondly, wheel speed has to be above 45 knots or airspeed above 60 knots. And lastly, thrust lever angle is below 26 degrees. The last condition is met if the thrust lever is placed on idle or below idle in the reverse descent. Ground spoilers will slow the aircraft down due to the parasite drag, but more importantly, they will force the aircraft down to stick to the ground. During normal landing, wheel spin up will happen immediately after touchdown. This, together with the weight on wheel signal, will deploy the ground spoilers. In case of a soft landing, together with heavy rain, missing only one of those conditions above can lead to the ground spoiler remaining stowed. This, plus the high approach speed due to gusty wind, can mean that the aircraft does not want to touch down as there is still too much lift from the excess speed and the angle of attack from landing the nose wheel. Depending on runway length and prior calculated stop margin, this could lead to a decision to go around and a bulk landing. What's a stop margin? On most runways, you will find a displaced threshold, which means that on the prior 300 meters of runway, you are not actually supposed to land on. The runway, together with PAPIs, ILS antennas, are designed to land right on the touchdown markers. If you don't make it and land long, no big deal, as long as you will touch down within the touchdown zone. The touchdown zone can be, depending on the size of the runway, 1,000 to 3,000 feet or 300 to 900 meters long. In the case of runway 27 left in Hanover, it is about 1,000 feet long, which means that if you touch down right at the fat bar in the middle of the touchdown zone where you're supposed to, you will have about 3 seconds left at an approach speed of 155 knots before you run out of touchdown zone. But what if you already touched down but the reverser and the spoiler do not deploy yet due to the soft landing? The decision to go around now lands with the decision of the pilot. In Munich, with a runway length of 4,000 meters, there should never be any problems with stop margin as long as you touch down in the touchdown zone, even with a wet runway. But on runways with a length of 2,500 meters or below, there is definitely a possibility of overshoot depending on the stop margin calculated in the performance program. So the stop margin is the runway left after coming to a complete stop with the current weather conditions, landing weight, approach speed, and auto brake setting. So it's always good to have that in the back of your head when doing a landing. Typically, pilots will flare differently depending on how long the runway is and what the brake coefficient is like. And the decision to abort a landing when you already touched down is not an easy one and one to be made in a matter of seconds. Until the next one, stay safe.